Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Inspired America. Today we're talking about political parties and George Washington's warnings about political parties. George Washington was our first president of the United States, and some say he was the best. George Washington wrote a farewell to the people instead of running for a third term. He grew up in the British system. He saw what kings and queens can do to a civilization. He did not want a tyrannical monarch ruling the new America. It's time for someone else to lead. And then he went on to say that unity is the number one priority for the success of our nation. Washington also went on to say, and I kid you not, that political parties are the number one threat to unity in this country. I have a direct quote from George Washington. It reads as follows. Political parties, they agitate the community with ill-founded jealousy and false alarms that kindle animosity of one party against another. They foment occasional riot and insurrection and open the door for foreign influences and corruption, which finds and facilitates access to the government itself through the channels of party passions. End quote. That's pretty heavy stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Professor Stevens on the show. He's going to give us his professional insight. And without further ado, let's get into the article.
Hello everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Like Casey said, George Washington didn't want for America to be plundered like the British. In his farewell address of 1796, President George Washington warned Americans about the dangers of political parties. Washington was concerned that political parties might open the door to foreign influence and entanglements, undermining American independence. He also feared that intense partisanship could eventually lead to a concentration of power and even despotism. Although political parties became a permanent feature of American politics, Washington's warnings about the potential harm of excessive partisanship still resonate today.
The birth of political parties in America, a clash of visions. In the pivotal years of the United States, as the ink was still drying on the Constitution, a present warning echoed through the words of the nation's first president, George Washington. He cautioned against the perils of political parties, recognizing their potential to sow discord, kindle animosity, and threaten the very foundations of the young nation. His fears, however, would prove prescient as political factions soon emerged, shaping the course of American politics for generations to come. Washington's ominous prognostication. George Washington's apprehensions about political parties were rooted in his concerns about their corrosive effects on American society and governance. He foresaw how these factions could agitate communities with unfounded jealousies and false alarms, turning one segment of the population against another. The peril of occasional riots and insurrections loomed large, fueled by the fiery passions ignited by party rivalries. Moreover, Washington warned that political parties could open the door to foreign influence and corruption, infiltrating the government through the channels of partisan fervor. In essence, Washington's solemn admonition was that political parties, if left unchecked, could become a divisive force that not only weakened the unity of the nation, but also compromised the integrity of its institutions. The Federalist vision, a strong federal government. Despite Washington's warnings, the first two political parties emerged from within his own cabinet, a testament to the differing visions held by some of the nation's most influential figures. Alexander Hamilton, the visionary economist and statesman, emerged as the founder of the Federalist Party. The Federalists advocated for a strong federal government with broad powers, favoring a loose construction of the Constitution. In practical terms, this meant interpreting the Constitution broadly, allowing the government to take actions beyond what was explicitly written in the document. The Federalists famously invoked the necessary and proper clause in Article 1 of the Constitution to support their stance. Hamilton, in his defense of creating the Bank of the United States, argued that such an institution was necessary and proper to execute the federal government's duties effectively. Economically, the Federalists championed the growth of businesses and industry. They ardently supported protective tariffs, which effectively made foreign imports more expensive than American-made goods, safeguarding domestic industries. On the international stage, the Federalists leaned toward alliances with Great Britain, aligning their policies with the interests of the wealthy elite. Their support found strongholds in the northern states where commercial interests thrived. The Democratic Republicans, a strict construction and state-centric approach. On the opposing side of this political divide stood the Democratic Republican Party, led by none other than Thomas Jefferson, who had once served in Washington's cabinet. James Madison emerged as another influential party leader. The Democratic Republicans held a starkly contrasting vision. They favored strong state governments over a robust national government, emphasizing a strict construction of the Constitution. In practical terms, they believed that the powers of the federal government should be limited to only what was explicitly stated in the Constitution. Their preference was for governance to occur at the local level, where state authorities could address concerns effectively. To this end, they advocated for state banks over national ones, promoting a more decentralized financial system. In terms of international relations, the Democratic Republicans supported free trade with Europe and sought alliances with France, a nation that had been a crucial ally during the American Revolution. Conclusion: the emergence of the Federalist and Democratic Republican parties, despite Washington's prescient warnings, marked the beginning of a new era in American politics. These two factions, born from the diverse visions of the nation's founders, would shape the course of early American history in profound ways. The ideological divide between the Federalists and Democratic Republicans set the stage for many of the political debates that would define the young republic. From the role and scope of federal power to economic policy and foreign relations, their competing visions would influence decision-making at every level of government.
That was a very well-written article. I like how this effectively contrasts the Federalist and Democratic Republican visions, highlighting the key differences in their approach to government, economics, and foreign policy. In my humble opinion, Washington would feel as though the influence of special interests and the role of money in politics might strike Washington as a modern form of the foreign influence and corruption he feared. The power of lobbyists and the sway of large donors could be seen as distorting democratic processes and putting party and special interests ahead of the public good.
Blackout coffee, fresh roasted, bold flavors, serving heroes on the front lines.
Blackout! Blackout coffee, baby! Blackout coffee!
Since day one, Blackout Coffee has been built on a strong brand with a passionate fan base. Our growth over the last 4 years has been a testament to the high standard of our coffee. From the ingredients we use to the values as a company we have, quality is something Blackout Coffee drinkers expect. Blackout Coffee is positioned.
Okay, so within George Washington's very own cabinet, you've got Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Both authors of the Constitution, however, have very different ideas. And Alexander Hamilton, he started the Federalist Party, while Thomas Jefferson, he started the Democratic Republican Party just to oppose the Federalist ideals. So the Federalists, they supported a strong central government. After the War of 1812, their popularity just plummeted like a rock and really never heard from again. And then you have the second party that we're going to talk about, the Democratic Republican Party. And again, this was put together by Thomas Jefferson and the help of James Madison. this party eventually evolved into the Democrat Party from Andrew Jackson's involvement. Then you have the Whig Party. This is a really funny name. I remember the first time I read this, it was hilarious. The Whig Party basically opposed Andrew Jackson's Democrat Party, and that was the whole premise, and later dissolved over issues from slavery. Next up, the fourth party to bring into question is the Free Soil Party, another ridiculous, this is a funny name. And this party was built on the whole premise of getting rid of slavery, and this party is what led to the Republican Party from President Abraham Lincoln, our 15th president. Then I've got a fifth party to bring up. This is called the Know Nothing Party. Another ridiculous names. I don't know who's coming up with this stuff, but these names are ridiculous. But the Know Nothing Party was an anti-immigrant and anti-Catholic party. That was the whole premise. And then the sixth party to bring up was the Liberty Party. This gained popularity in the 1850s, or in the 1840s, I'm sorry. And then the seventh party to bring up was called the Bull Moose Party. Again, ridiculous name, from none other than Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt was successful in 2 terms, decided to retire and hand the ball off to his vice president. He went out onto a hunting trip in Africa, decided to get back into politics. We were getting into the Second World War at this time. He decided to get back into politics, and there was already a Republican candidate in place, so he started the Bull Moose Party and go toe-to-toe with the Democrats and the Republicans. So what I've observed with how unpopular today's Democrat Party and Republican Party is, they're both pretty unpopular these days. What do you guys think? Do you think that we're going to see new political parties emerge? Do you think we'll see something different? Do you think we'll have a MAGA party and a something else party? And I think I'm just going to leave it at that so I don't get in trouble with the YouTube police. So thanks again everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next video.